Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for July 23rd through 26th, 2021. Well, we're moving into the full moon in Aquarius energy, the sun having just moved over yesterday into the sign of Leo, bringing us a new and different energy. Venus has just switched signs, moved over into Virgo. And so we're here poised at the edge of something new. And this full moon is like, can we tip the scales finally? Can we get to the top of that mountain and start going down the other side? Or are we going to just stay in limbo forever? The deal is that we're on the edge of trying to figure out how to get into the Aquarian age, but it's almost like even that statement, that's been the energy of the astrology for the last really 10 years. But it's like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And so we have to remind ourselves that there's nothing that can stop it, right? It's a shift of ages. And that each sign and energy that we move into is very, very different. And so at some point we have to, get over that hump and move into the new energies instead of, it's almost like we're stuck at this place of, not really fully able to release the past and maybe fear of the future and what's coming. So that unknown, because we have this very powerful T-square happening right now between Venus having just moved over into Virgo, opposite Jupiter at 0 degrees Pisces, retrograde. But that 0 degrees Pisces is the point of, it's representing this point of moving into the Aquarian age, because the shift of ages move backwards. And so after 0 degrees, and that's exactly what Jupiter's going to do at the end of the month, move to 29 degrees Aquarius. And so this is the turning point. Jupiter is hanging out right there at this point, this precipice of the new age, saying, hey, we can't do it the old way and we can't hold it back any longer. So what are we going to do? And indeed, there's this feeling of uncomfortable anticipation in the collective. Something's not quite right, but it feels like people are more and more interested in staying in their somewhat blissful, surface blissful ignorance, right? But that's not going to last long. And so what a strange energy and powerful messages for us. And if you're feeling this way, like, can't figure out my next steps. What am I even doing? Who am I even, and of course we've been feeling this for a whole year in these very crazy times. And we're having a bloom of that feeling of like indecision, no clarity. I don't know where I'm coming from. I don't know where I'm going. Everything I thought isn't working out. And it's so much of this has to do, especially for supernova souls, the message around if the shift of ages is a whole new, completely different energy, then that is going to require a completely different set of rules and laws. And that's exactly the energy of Saturn in Aquarius. Now, Saturn is retrograde and going back in Aquarius at 10 degrees, coming to 10 degrees right now. And so Saturn is like, what are the laws and rules of this new age? What are we doing? How do we build? And so the retrograde has an energy of like, wait a minute, we don't know what in the F we're doing. We're in free fall mode. That's what it feels like. That is part of the necessary process of the times that we're in, is this ego death. We've talked about how we've got to get out. This Aquarius full moon is at 1.5 degrees coming up here tonight in the next 12 hours, right? And so this energy is the very beginning of Aquarius, and that same energy, what are we doing here? What is the story? And so we're looking at all of this. Now, then we have had all this energy about the Pisces energy and what we need to resolve. Now, it seems like the Pisces energy has to do with the stories. A lot's coming up around story. And this feeling like we're in divergent timelines, and are they coming together? Are they splitting apart? Both, like in and out of different dimensional frequency energies, pushed out in the lower matrix 3D, popping back out into an expansiveness. And so it's like all over the map, right? But there seems to be a powerful message coming through about the Piscean age and our links to the Piscean age and our being trapped in the past. It definitely has to do with that mind control energy and programming. But where did the programming come from? It comes from stories. And there's an interesting thing. Now, we know that our history is a bunch of lies. The science books are a bunch of lies. All of this stuff, so much has gone into hiding our true history and the true potential of humanity, which is in that history. And maybe since it was the feminine that was cut out of that story and cast to the underworld, and blamed for everything, that maybe the story, we're missing part of the story, or the story is just straight out wrong, right? And maybe we need the her story. We're missing the her story. And that's a huge energy of this astrology right now, with Venus in exact opposition. Venus at the beginning of Virgo, exact opposition to Jupiter at 0 degrees Pisces at that turning point. And so Venus at the beginning of Virgo is speaking to the purification of the feminine and the exalted, pure, divine feminine having a voice again in square, because these planets are making a T-square to Black Moon Lilith at 0 degrees Gemini, which speaks to communication. And so this is really interesting, because I think a big part of what's been holding all of us back individually and collectively is this divergent storylines that don't add up. And so let's just say that there's a story we've all bought into that's written in the history books, but it's not true. Or there's pieces missing, or it never really happened. It was almost like a staged event. Let's just kind of imagine that, right? And then say you're going to go back into your past lives, into your consciousness, and you're going to, you want to resolve and heal that so you can move on. Now, maybe this goes back to that energy of humanity maybe not realizing that they've been so victimized, that they've been controlled and held back so much from their own potential that they don't even know they have that potential. We have this potential, right? How much of that has to do with the stories that are not true, that we're trying to heal, that aren't even true, right? We're trying to resolve. And then the true story could be even darker or lighter, or, maybe the whole lies and manipulation is the darkest part. Are we just playing out a storybook that was written for us to keep us in that loop? The control energies have kept control by repeating the stories, right? So story keeps us trapped. We've all had this lately, it's coming up, right? Like karmic situations and difficult things that feels like it's connected to the past lives and strange hidden things. And it's like, this keeps repeating and repeating in my life, and I thought I was done with this. And so here we have in these things that seem so big and like they can never heal and never move, and they keep coming up and coming up. Therein lies, somewhere in there is the truth. It's like, how do you heal the abuse when nobody can validate it happened to you? But, or how it happened, or the story, so we're in this very strange energy, and yet we're at this massive turning point, and it's like, we know that, very powerful messages about humanity's evolution being reinstated, its spiritual right to its evolving outside of 3D, into anything else possible, requires massive truth, right? It requires us to reconcile these lies and timelines. So what lies your family, say, has been propagating is keeping you in victimization. some deep, dark secret that has not ever been talked about or revealed, and yet it's distorted the DNA, and we're all living it out. That's what's unraveling right now in these current energies. It feels like the VAX is a way to cancel out the DNA activation that's happening naturally, organically, and especially for those of us who are here to lead the way, supernova souls, because you have that God molecule, you remember who you are, you have experiences in this earth realm where you were more fully expressing your human and spiritual potential. So you have that, and it's up to you to hold on to that silver cord and ride that ride, and don't ever give up. Don't, like, the energies, everything. There's a massive attack on those who are not playing the game and going along with the program energetically. And that needs to make us more resolute in our dedication and devotion to something more than what we've been living, something more inside of you. The faith we're looking for is that knowledge, that feeling inside of you that there's something way more, and you did not come for this. You did not come for mind control slavery. You're not playing that game. And so just it's incredibly empowering, and it brings us to this point, which is interesting because it fits this astrology, this 0 point, which is can we go within? And since our old methods of pushing and manifesting and creating in 3D aren't working anymore in the Piscean age, they're all trapped in those old stories. We've got to stop. We got to be right here, right now. We've got to continually affirm and confirm our faith in who we are as souls, and the awakening that's happening within us, and how much we haven't even gotten started on our potential. That potential was thwarted and interfered with, buried, hidden, traumatized way back in Atlantean time. And there's definitely an energy of the Aquarian age and a connection to the Atlantean time. Like, Atlantean time was the last time in Aquarius, because Aquarius rules technology. And so the technology that we have, when you're in the divine law and order, the technology is always used for the benefit of humanity. But right now, the advanced technologies are being withheld from humanity. And as long as they're withheld from humanity, they can be used against us to control us. Now, we have no idea the potential of these weapons, except for that's not our concern. Our concern is the potential of our power, which is organic. It's by birthright. It's beautiful and blessed. And so we got to put our energy there, in knowing that our internal, innate, beautiful, higher technology available through our glandular system and through your prior experiences as a soul are way more powerful than all the mechanisms they could ever come up with. And so we're at this strange place. Part of the 0 point is like, it kind of brings up this whole thing of maybe it has to do with getting out of the stories and the programming of the Piscean age, that, you can have the most powerful super quantum computer that can, explore all kinds of scenarios and outcomes, but it can never factor in the God molecule and the unknown of the divine. And it's almost like that's part of getting out of the Piscean age, was like it's like this written prophecy kind of deal. And then it's like we're in that unknown place where now we have to write it, as we go. But it's not our ego, our lower ego. It's our alignment with the bigger divine plan, and our alignment with thy will, thy way, and that divine timeline. And yet being able to sit tight and be present in the unknown, in the 0 point. 0 degrees T square in mutable signs is like, it's a massive bloom of this energy we felt of like, I just don't know. I can't get clarity. You're like, well, I think I'll go maybe do this. And then it's like, well, no, I don't know. The energy's not quite right. Like something about sitting tight and waiting, not waiting on your empowerment, right? Like stepping into your energy, claiming the moment, claiming that spiritual power that you know you have within you. But as far as outside actions and plans, wait for the path to be revealed, because there's a whole bunch of things, like it's almost like this quantum entanglement as we step in this new way of manifesting. Every little thing is like rearranging around us. It's so confusing, and yet so beautiful too. The messages. So here we're coming into this full moon in Aquarius at 1.5 degrees Aquarius. The energy of those early degrees of a sign are like an initiatory energy. There's an excitement, there's an anticipation. And that's exactly the energy, it's not going to work to disenfranchise millions of people, which is trying to happen through the control energies right now with this medical tyranny. We, the people, have the power, and it's only a matter of time before we come together in full acknowledgement and recognition of the real story, right? Like getting out of the big lie and into the real story, and then the power of the people rising up and claiming back their humanity, their freedom, their right to live and love and be connected to God, because the medical tyranny's agenda is to go after that God molecule. So hold on to that, and this is about living miracles, right? So part of the message of Christ consciousness that came in physical form at the beginning of the Piscean age was about the living, right? Like Christ, that energy just does not belong in a building or a church or some sort of organization like that, right? It's dead. It's a living energy. We have to live it. We have to breathe it. And it's about being alive and coming into our potential. That life, as we're human souls in a body, connected in our awareness, that we are God consciousness, the most powerful force in all of the universe. Watch out, world. Watch out, omniverses, because humanity is about to rise up on earth and cleanse this distortions and sending reverberations out to the rest of the cosmos. And this is exactly the energy of this astrology. For this full moon in Aquarius, we've got both Venus and Mars in very powerful formations. Now, Venus and Mars just came together in Leo, speaking to two suns, speaking to the feminine was never dark. We've got to come into a full expression, a beautiful expression of the masculine and the feminine, that beautiful duality that allows us to get out of duality. There's these beautiful archetypes in the feminine, the masculine, and a harmony that comes when they're in perfect balance. And that is the energy of this new age. So no wonder we're poised at the edge, right? Now, this full moon that's coming up real soon here, I got to finish up. I hope you can consider joining me for the live activation for this Aquarius full moon coming up here in just 12 minutes, 11 minutes. So if you can't make the live activation at the time, the replay is available immediately after the event, and you can get the energy. We're working outside of time, and there's a lot of information of like, how do we create information, coming in about how to create, how do we individually create, and insights and clues and clarity in this new energy, and also a reset, recalibration at that 0 point. So I hope you can join me for that full moon activation. And if you can't make it live, go ahead and catch the replay, because those messages, that energy will be there for you. Every event we do together, Supernova Souls, is building our supernova lightship and bringing our energy together. When you come to the event, you're saying yes, and you're bringing your energy as a participant in this, and I deeply appreciate you being here with us. So this full moon early degrees of Aquarius, something new. What are we doing here? The initiatory, this feeling we all have, like, come on, let's get on with it. What are we doing? And then kind of maybe standing at the edge, right? Like seeing that person about, going to climbing up that bridge to jump off into the river, right? And then that point of being like, oh, can I do this? Can I make this leap? And so this is kind of where we're at. And that is this 0 point energy, because the sun will be at 1.5 degrees for this full moon. And of course, the moon moving into Aquarius will be at the very early, the sun is at 1.5 degrees Leo, and the moon at 1.5 degrees Aquarius. Now, then we've got Jupiter at 0 degrees Pisces, black in square to black moon Lilith at 0 degrees Gemini, and in a T-square with Venus at the early degrees of Virgo. So that means the sun and the moon and Venus, black moon Lilith, Jupiter, all at the very early degrees, this 0 point, this place of new beginnings, but also that place of incubation, that place of healing, that place of rest and preparation for what's coming. And yet from the top of the mountain, poised to make that leap, you can get a better lay of the land. Aquarius has a visionary energy. It has a tendency to get ahead of itself and see what could be possible. And then, energies, it's like kind of can get, and then you have to backtrack and build it. So it's very interesting with this Saturn in Aquarius and retrograde, exactly the energy here as we just sit at the edge waiting for this tipping point moment, where we've been waiting for it, right? I don't know, is that part of the old story? Like a certain number of us have to be on board, a certain number of us have to be aware of like that critical mass. Now, that's part of the message coming in around you, supernova souls, and getting out of the Piscean age in the lower matrix trap of the programming. Once you have that full alignment where you're like, oh yeah, I'm not messing around, right? This is the time that we're in, is the time of revelation. It's the time of having to pick a lane. You can't do a little of this and a little of that. You can't do a little awake and a little asleep. That's the blissful ignorance, which cannot hold, right? And so as you align, and you align with this faith within you, you align with your knowledge and your awareness and your presence, and you're claiming and owning your potential, and that there's so much more, and you're aligning at that point of saying yes. You already said yes as a supernova soul to spiritual ascension, because you've already gone through spiritual ascension on other levels. And so you have this memory within you why you're here to lead the way. And so once you remember this, or just have an inkling and trust and have the faith in this is part of what we're doing together, supernova souls. But once you're there, you're no longer beholden to the prophecies. You're no longer beholden to the story and the trap. There's nothing more to play out. There's nothing more to wait for, right? And maybe that's this point, like giving ourselves permission to go ahead and step over into our more embodied light, our light body. And we don't need to wait for anybody or anything. So it's like definitely an exciting time of looking ahead off this horizon of this point. We've climbed this huge mountain. We can barely breathe. The oxygen is thin with those masks and chemtrails and forest fire and 5G and whatever the heck they're doing to us, right? But we made it. And from here, we can see a little bit more clearly. So I hope you'll jump over to Crowdcast and meet me there for the live activation, or catch the replay for this Aquarius full moon. Incredibly potent times. We've got Mars at the tip. So Venus is in a T-square at 0 degrees, mutable, about the voice of the feminine. About the voice of the feminine is how you heal the feminine. The feminine needs to be heard again and empowered. That's how we get back to our spiritual revelation. That's how we get to the Aquarian age, is the balance between the masculine and the feminine, because Mars is at the tip of the yod. So when you take this T-square and you put the yod on top of it, which is a finger of God, it's like a pizza slice. And that is a very dynamic very dynamic. Now we've got Mercury in Cancer coming into trine with Neptune. Super beautiful, sweet. Let's get out of the mind control trap for good energy. I mean, Mercury retrograde in Gemini with that 4 weeks of square to Neptune, now coming to trine with Neptune, very, very sweet. We've also got the full moon in Aquarius exactly trine or coming into trine with that black moon Lilith at 0 degrees Gemini. So we've got some sweet trine energies and sextile, and also this T square. It's like jimmying luck, right? Like pressure to change, and then the harmonized flow energies that can support that change. And so here we are. So I look forward to seeing you soon, maybe perhaps on that full moon activation or the next update. Have a wonderful weekend. Be present at this tipping point. We are at crucial times. It's definitely like, oh my God, how am I going to make it through? And then like, wow, I can't believe I get to be alive and conscious at this time and awake. So kudos to you. Pat yourself on the back. Love yourself. Be present in this 0 point. You made it. You're here. Leave the stories behind. Let's get on with the new story. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.